Hey everyone, and welcome to In the Running, a podcast where we bring your local elections to life.
We're your hosts, Mae and Olivia, two juniors at Mountain Brook High School.
We started this podcast to help inform voters on who is running in their local elections and what those candidates do on a citywide scale.
So, we're asking the real questions about their goals, values, and what they want to do for your communities across Alabama. This is In the Running.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to In the Running. We're your hosts, Olivia Self.
And I'm Mae and today we're here with Mr. Maurice Mercer, running for U.S. House Congressional District 6. It's so nice to be with you today.
Hey, it's great to be with you all.
Okay, so our first question, we always ask this, is we want to know about you outside of your campaign. What are your hobbies, family, any other background?
Sure. Hey, that's a great question. First off, thank you for being here. I'm excited to be on the platform today. I think it's interesting and admirable to see two young students giving back to their community by interviewing candidates for political office. My background, I'm a husband, Christ follower, son, father. I'm a small business owner as well. I'm a former elected official. As far as hobbies are concerned, I coach my 11-year-old's basketball team as well as my 5-year-old's soccer team. So that was an interesting season, let me tell you. In addition to that, I enjoy Marvel movies. So I'm kind of a...
What's your favorite one? We have to ask.
Iron Man and Black Panther. I kind of like both of them. Little Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Iron Man's my favorite superhero in the Marvel universe. Very interesting. So, more about your political career. What inspired you to run to represent Alabama Congressional District 6?
Oh, great question. You know, after finishing 13 years on the Pelham City Council and 5 of those as council president and an unsuccessful run at mayor, I thought, you know, I've been giving myself to my city for so long, you know, I'd spend time at home. And so that's what I did. Spend time at home. We coached that 11-year-olds team. We were runner-up champs in our division. Yeah. And then, thank you. And then the 5-year-old, her soccer team went undefeated with one tie.
Okay.
Wow.
So that was my life, and we've been enjoying it. And then in the middle of that soccer season, we saw the war in Iran. We saw inflation start to trickle in. And then the change in the redistricting. And when that came, that's when I thought opportunity to run. And I said, if not me, if I wasn't willing to stand up, then who would be willing to stand up? And so based off of my past experiences, I thought I would be able to take a fight to Gary Palmer directly and with a chance to win. And so that's why I started running.
Okay, and if elected, what would be your top 3 measurable goals for your term in office?
That's a good question. So as you know, a term is only 2 years. So that puts the pressure on to get a lot of things done. So first measurable goal, I'd like to bring $100 million in grants back to the district over that 2-year period of time. And that's, of course, covering 8 counties and probably many projects. In addition to that, I'm committed to transparency. So I would host at least 12 town hall meetings over that 2-year period as well. And you asked me for 3, right? Mm-hmm. That's all right. A good question. And then the last, but certainly not least, I have a record of building bridges and working across the aisle. I would like to sponsor one bipartisan bill, perhaps to address affordability, maybe even healthcare as well.
Here. Great. So segueing to the topic of education, Alabama is notoriously ranked low for their public education. What do you think is the root cause of that?
You know, I think everyone, parents, you know, want their kids to have the absolute best education. And while education, there have been strides made, I don't think the lack of education or the ranking is solely dedicated back to the education itself. I'm married to Dr. Mercer. She's an educator. My wife, My mother was a teacher as well as my grandmother. And so I've had firsthand knowledge of teachers and their roles. But and when you talk to teachers and you talk to administrators, you realize it's not necessarily the education, it's the outside factors. And so we've got to look to make sure the parents have what they need to be able to provide their sons and daughters with what they need. So if coming to school prepared, pre-K, making sure on day one, we have kids that are ready to read, ready to learn. Many kids in these other economic areas, poverty areas, sometimes maybe they're working multiple jobs and they start to miss school and things of that nature. So we got to make sure that those outside environments are not playing a factor on the student's success. And so we work to support programs like workforce development, also work with programs with trade unions to make sure the parents have a living wage so they can provide for their kids, and their kids ultimately can have the best education because they have a thriving environment at home. They have hot water, they have food, they have internet, and just the basic necessities that we may take for granted today. And so I think that those are some of the things that affect education, but it's just not on the surface. So.
And I like the idea of like workforce development and et cetera. Do you have any other reforms that you would prioritize to improve schools around Alabama and District 6?
Schools itself is a function of not only state and local government. And so I was fortunate to be part of the city council in Pelham that broke away and started its own school system. And we dedicated a 1 cent sales tax to that formation, as well as to the teachers and to the overall education within the city. And so we need to make sure that each city has the resources that they need to be able to attract those teachers and bring them in. And as far as the federal government's concerned, we want to make sure there's no red tape. So this federal government should set the standard of what education is and have credible people that are administering what education should look like based off of research, and then allow those states and those local municipalities to work. But then if there are opportunities where the federal government needs to look at assistance, whether it's training or maybe it's funding, we may need to research that more in depth. But right now, we don't want to take that function away from the states and the local municipalities. And so those local citizens, like you two, as well as your parents, you can reach out to that city councilor, you can reach out to that state representative a lot faster that directly affects your education than sometimes going through Washington.
So moving from education to healthcare now, you mentioned, I feel like in your third measurable goal, supporting a bipartisan bill, talking about affordability or healthcare. We're interested to hear what ideas you have to reform the healthcare system in Alabama.
Sure. Part of the problem that we have here in Alabama, Alabama is one of 10 states that has not expanded Medicare to sufficient the Obamacare. And then that has left areas behind. And so we've got to work with leaders. Hopefully we will be able to elect Doug Jones and several members of his cabinet who will expand Medicaid and then allow for that expansion in government. Now, in addition to that, the government, just like the government works with farmers and other manufacturers with discounts, we need to look at hospitals, people that are willing to invest in rural areas to see if the government can help subsidize until those rural areas can get off their feet, attract doctors, attract nurses to that area, and then that will provide that quality health care that we all expect. We live here in Birmingham Metro. There's a hospital within a stone's throw, right? But some of our smaller cities, probably down in Autauga County, maybe Elmore County, parts of the district, may not have as quick, Autauga and Elmore probably drive into Montgomery for their hospital. And we just recently heard about one of the struggling hospitals in Montgomery that may be facing closure. And so it's a very real issue for District 6. And so it's something that I would take very seriously, if elected, to make sure that we've given all the resources we can to make sure our rural hospitals stay sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. Segueing to another topic, what is your stance on gun legislation, especially considering Alabama's strong gun culture?
Alabama is strong gun country. I'm pro Second Amendment. I've got 3 daughters, so all the guys that are watching, hey, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I'm pro Second Amendment. And the problem sometime in, of course, our country we see is not necessarily the gun. We've heard that before. But I think it's, number one, we need stronger background checks. We see a lot of times when we have the mass shootings, it's somebody who doesn't have a stable mind that was able to purchase a gun, maybe even get a family member's gun. And so we need to have background checks in place for the ones who are purchasing the guns. In addition to that, I would recommend some type of learner's class. I know some people grow up with guns. They go hunting with their parents. They may go clay shooting. But just as we have a learner's permit, you ladies, I believe, are probably already driving, but at some point you got that learner's permit. You studied up, and then you went with your parents and learned to drive. And so we need to make sure we have responsible gun owners. And so I think everyone out there could support making sure that gun owners know how to use their weapon responsibly, and they've passed a test that says that. And that would probably ensure, so between learning as well as the background checks, hopefully we will see some decrease in the mass shootings and being able to catch some of that on the front end.
So talking now about affordability, what could you do in Congress that would actually lower costs for families?
That's a great question. So, and thank you for that. What could Congress do to lower costs for families? Well, one thing, as we saw with this war, and we saw the gas prices rise, and it affected several things, we need to look at, in times of war, the profits that the gas companies, oil companies are making in excess during this wartime. Perhaps a tax there that we can return to the people so they can maybe purchase gas, purchase groceries, and things of that nature. In addition to that, and a topic, immigration. As the government has cracked down on immigration, we've shrunk the workforce. And so we really need to, when we're thinking about immigration and these policies, we need to make sure we're taking care of our farmers. That has ultimately led to higher costs on goods. And so those are 2 areas working towards immigration reform, as well as looking at those oil prices in times of war that we could probably do very fast and see some immediate returns.
Yeah. And I would like to speak a little bit more on immigration. What do you think that Congress could do differently about immigration?
Sure. It's a touchy subject. I remember for a number of years, we've seen politicians banter over immigration. And this is real people, real human beings. And so the first thing we need to do is make sure that our policies are humane. I've read in recent news where immigration officials have shot and killed the wrong person. They were trying to serve out a warrant or thought they were seeking the right person, and it was the wrong person. And someone lost their life. Somebody did not go home to their spouse, did not go home to their kids. And so things of that nature, we are a country of rules, regulations, due process, and we have to get back to that. So we need to restructure ICE where it's operating in the manner in which it was created. As far as immigration is concerned, people that are here contributing to our society, paying taxes, they pay gas tax, they pay food tax, sales tax, property tax, Social Security, FICA, all of those taxes, they're paying those taxes into the system, right? People constantly say the system is running out of money. Well, you have a group of people paying into this, providing a living wage for their family. And then we need to make sure if people are working, they have a path to citizenship. Now, any criminal, just like we would do an American criminal or an immigrant criminal, should be treated the same, due process. And we need to send criminals. We need to deport them if they're not legal. And the criminals that would be American citizens, they would be prosecuted, and would go to jail. So there should be no room for criminals, no matter your background. But immigrants that are working, went to school, or working, should have a path to citizenship. And so I would be committed to work. And as I mentioned earlier, bipartisan bill. And if my colleagues from across the aisle don't want to join, we'll work to push a bill that will restructure citizenship to allow people that are here working to have citizenship.
So we're on to our last question. And
Right.
It's a bit of a challenge question
Sure.
because we want to know in only one sentence,
Okay.
why should people vote for you?
This is a good question.
Yeah.
So first off, again, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Why should the District 6 voters vote for me? Well, first, I bring proven elected leadership to the table. I've been a small business owner and have a proven business acumen, and I have a record of working to bring people together from all backgrounds. I think these are real tangible assets that are needed in Congress right now, and I'm ready to deliver on day one.
That was great.
Long but informational sentence. We love to see it.
Awesome.
Great job. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for making some time.
And thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to vote in the primary on August 11th, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.